helping you solve the retirement puzzle. Welcome to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
Do you remember taking those standardized tests in high school?
Oh, heck yeah. I took like 12 of them, it felt like.
I feel like they started for elementary school for me, too. People are just talking about high school. I'm like, are you kidding me? I feel like it went way back. And then on top of that, the pressure of the number 2 pencil. Ooh. Heaven forbid you only had one.
We're not allowed to use mechanical pencils. I remember that specifically because it made me crazy.
And if you only had one pencil and it broke, what are you going to do in the middle of a test? Can't talk to anybody. Got to go talk to the teacher. The whole thing. Well,
absolutely.
Times have changed, my friends.
Oh, dear.
More colleges are ditching the exams as an admissions requirement.
Seriously.
The SAT is now making changes as it tries to stay relevant. It's moving online, everybody. And students, first of all, the injustice. Students apparently are going to be allowed to bring their own laptops to the testing centers.
Oh, my gosh.
They will also be allowed to use calculators. Is anybody else mad yet?
Are you kidding me?
Nope. And the time of the assessments is being shortened from 3 hours down to 2.
This is the wimpification of America right here. Wimpification. Are they allowed to have their own like security snuggies in there at the same time? I've got my own laptop here. I got my calculator here. I got my security snuggie. And I get to do it all online. That's ridiculous.
Well,
these people need to feel pain and anguish.
Right,
they need to have that feeling of being like a tortured rat in a cage.
It was very stressful. I remember all the pressure of
I took the SATs, the SAT2s, the LSATs, oh my God, ACT2s.
All the things. Actually, though, I will speak in defense of the young people. This isn't about their demands. This is the SAT is trying to stay relevant because college admissions are changing so much. They're trying to keep themselves relevant and in business, if you will. Basically, it's kind of like an out with the old. Oddly, who thought the SATs would graduate with the times? But it's not unlike how a lot of us look at our finances and savings, John. And I'm sure that you've had experiences with it talking to folks in your offices. We were brought up with rules like the 60-40 allocation, the 4% withdrawal rate.
And that's just history, right? I think more recently, the idea of robo-advisors, of taking the world by storm.
Yeah.
And what we find is that the results that people are getting from those robo-advisors is pretty terrible.
Right.
Pretty terrible, really. But I think this is just, if the SAT is changing, I think that that's part of any evolution. So, when you're kind of looking at some of the old rules, there's a reason why they change. Let's take the 60-40 allocation, if you will, Heather, for a minute.
Okay.
So the old adage was, if you looked at all of the stock gurus and the retirement gurus, they say keep 60% of your money in stocks and 40% in bonds, right? Mm-hmm. And they said if you do this over the long term, you're going to be fine. And this is what the idea was. Unfortunately, though, things have shifted a lot from that model. If you look at right now today, so many of those target date funds that were created were based on that model. And if you look at target date funds for the past 10 years, if you look at the evolution of things, they have been horrific, to say the least, as things have evolved over time. And so when you look at the old rules and why they existed, and you look at today, I think a lot of the modernization of financial planning is really kind of important, especially when it comes down to not just growing money, but being able to harvest it so we can use it in our retirements.
Right.
So when you think about things, if colleges realize, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to stay in business unless we get these kids to come here. We got to get them out of their grandmother's basement, and we got to get them out of their hoodies. Heck, they can keep the hoodies on, but we want them to come to our school instead of all becoming baristas or bloggers. And I get that. So they've had to adapt. When it comes to financial planning, I think a lot of things have changed as well. And unlike, I think, the schools, where the school's trying to stay relevant and trying to stay in business, when it comes to financial planning, it's a little bit more important, right? Because it's personal, because it's trying to keep us individually in business.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the other things you mentioned, the 60-40 rule, I feel has been broken for quite some time. Yeah. And the main reason for is that 40% that people have in bonds, well, frankly, you've lost money in that over the past several years, and often you're not even keeping up with inflation. And so there are so many other strategies that you can use that would have been better and, frankly, less risky in that environment. But the other rule that you mentioned, Heather, that people have heralded is the 4% rule, which says, hey, whatever amount of bucket of money you've saved, let's say you've saved $1 million, you can pull 4% out a year and spend. So in that example, you saved $1 million. Makes you feel good, though, doesn't it, to be a millionaire?
Yeah.
Would you like to be who wants to be a millionaire? Was that Regis Philbin?
Yeah.
Regis. So who wants to be a millionaire? Everyone does. But the old rule said, congratulations, you're a millionaire. You can pull $40,000 a year from that money. Unfortunately, because interest rates have been so stinking low that they've actually revised that down to say, 4% may be too lofty because interest rates have been so low. Maybe you should pull more like 2.5% to maybe 3.5%. So think about that, guys. You've saved $1 million. You've saved $1 million, and they tell you can pull out $25,000 to $35,000 from that amount of money. That doesn't even keep up with inflation. So unfortunately, we've seen this evolve too and change completely. Because believe it or not, right now in this day and age, Heather, there are strategies that exist. You can pull out between 5.5% to even 7.5% of your savings with the proper strategies and still not run out of money over the long run. Now that is a much better approach. So instead of having $1 million and currently being able to pull out 25 or 35 grand, imagine having the same $1 million and being able to pull out $65,000, maybe even $75,000 a year from the same bucket of money. That's a very big difference.
Yeah.
So the evolution of income design, I think, has changed for the better, tremendously better in the long run. But if you don't have those strategies, it can completely blow up your financial plan if you try to pull that much from it. So you really need to deal with a skilled fiduciary on establishing that. So they can find out how can they actually take the money they've saved and potentially evolve with the times so they can potentially get much better than that 4% withdrawal rate. Maybe they can get a 6.5% or 7.5% withdrawal rate. We can actually run a complimentary income plan review so you know exactly where you are and really all of the other options you have out there, and they may be better for you.
Have questions for John? Drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Integrity Financial Planning Inc. is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through John Hicks, NPN number 2293473.